Yes, sir.
I want to hear from the owners too in a minute, but you're saying they want a waiver of all three? That's what they're asking for?
Well, they're asking for a waiver of the flagpoles portion, and they're asking for a waiver of the 50-foot right-of-way. On the sidewalk, they're not necessarily asking for a waiver. They're asking for you guys to modify that condition to allow those sidewalks to be constructed prior to any certificate of occupancy being issued versus them having to be constructed at the time of final plat.
Okay. I'm going to have a couple more questions, but I'm going to wait for the owners to get up and hear what they have to say. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Councilman Boudreaux, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just want to hear from you about the 200-foot maximum on the flagpole. Give us the rationale behind that. Why the limit on 200 feet? What are we doing?
To be honest with you, in our next round of amendments, that will be changed. We're going to go up a little bit more. So normally on a private street, we have a limit of, I think it's 800 feet. And then after that, you really can't, I think you have to turn it into a public street, Warren? Yeah, so after, the maximum length of a private street is 800 feet. After that, you really need to turn it into a public street. So what we did, because we have quite a bit of these waivers, especially in the unincorporated area where you may have only a limited amount of frontage, but your property may be 1,000 feet deep, right? So we took a look at all the waivers that we've been having over a period of time. And what we decided to do was, in working with 911, we decided that I think it's either 400 or 450 feet that we were going to go up to. 911 feels that after that amount, at that point in time, you really do need to have a private street because it does become a public safety issue because at that point, they're looking for possibly a street, not someone's driveway when you're that far off of the road.
Gotcha.
So,
absolutely. So, and what's their current distance?
Currently, right now, they're going with our rule, which is 200. Now,
No, but they want a waiver.
Oh, they're waiving to, oof, I'm not quite sure. Let's see if I have it in the report somewhere.
And if you don't have the exact distance, what I'm interested in knowing is their request within what will be submitted for amendment if it's
yes,
within
sir.
that?
So one of those poles, so this lot right here, they're asking to go, their pole portion is 321.94 feet. Now, this back one right here exceeds a little bit more than what our new regulation would ask. They're at 496.97 feet. So our new regulation, again, I can't remember if it's 400 or 450, but this back lot right here would exceed that. Okay. Not by much, but they would.
But the maximum that 911 is going to be comfortable with is 450?
Yes.
Max?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have for now.
Councilman Terrio.
Just a little bit of information about this piece of property. The individuals that own this property have had it for 100 years. Now, what I'm going to mention here, and no fault to development and planning or Sarah or anybody over there, but here's a question that I'd like to pose to the council to look at. This, mainly I want to look at the right-of-way that's being asked, and quote, a 50-foot public street right-of-way is required to be dedicated to LCG from Hallmark Drive to eventually tie into Cape Brook Drive, which is way to the south. So if you guys look at where this development just came up, which the one to the south here is Landon Cove. Sarah, my first question to you, and what I'd like to get with everybody, is that when this development is approved, you have the developers that are submitting a plat that's being approved by the Planning Commission. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So where the stub outs are, we have a decision that's being made by whoever developer it is, and this happens all the time, normal protocol. But you see where the stub outs are, where the arrows are going through. So anywhere where there's a stub out, in the future, you're going to have connectivity that's going to other individuals' properties, where it will be required that people who've owned property for decades, centuries, or whatever it is, it's going to be required to donate their property to LCG. Give their property away. No reimbursement, nothing. And that's what's happening here. I can tell you now, I'm familiar with the individuals that own this particular property. This is not going to happen, I guarantee you, for decades. There will be no road going through there. So the question comes to mind is that we have a development that went up that had a stub out where the developer decided where the stub out in Planning Commission, not the owners of the people who own the property next to them. So they have no say-so what piece or that in the future, 50 feet of their property is no longer going to be theirs. They're going to have to give it away. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not in the business of giving away any of my property. I would fight that tooth and nail. So I think this is something we need to look at. It may be something, the UDC may need to modify. But in this instance, you're going to have homes here, going to be here for decades. So I just wanted to point that out to the council at this point, and I know there are individuals who are with the residents here who would also like to speak. So with that, I'll temper any further remarks later on. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilman Castillo?
Thank you, sir. Not often I agree with Mr. Terrio, but I'm not fully agreeing with him again tonight, so just to let y'all know. I understand what he's saying about dedicating and giving property away. I'm not a big fan of that either. But there is a solution to this that doesn't dedicate or give anything to any government. But like I said, I want to hear from the residents, hear what they have to say, but there's some solutions to this that doesn't take the property or force them to give it away. Okay? Thank you, sir.
All right. Councilman Lewis?
Sir, my question is, what is so significant about the modification of the sidewalks?
There's not, well, so the current condition would require them to build those sidewalks before they got their final plat. So at the time of final plat, or they could choose to put up a letter of credit if they so choose to, but that would be 100% of the cost of construction plus a 25% administrative fee. With the modification, what that allows them to do is get the final plat recorded, not have to put up a letter of credit, but it ties it to the certificate of occupancy for whatever business would be located there. So at the time that what would happen is when they would build the building for the business, they would also construct the sidewalks at that time.
But didn't you say something about with the improvement of Barra School Road, the sidewalks will be coming
Sidewalks not right here, further down.
further down?
Correct, further to the north.
Okay.
That is part of the state's project. But that state project stops at Vincent Road. Well, I don't want to say it stops, it goes a little ways past Vincent, but, so you'll only get them up to that point,
So they
which
was-
is not far from here, but
So they would still be responsible for putting the sidewalks?
correct. And if you notice this lot right here, this vacant lot to the I guess south of them,
Right.
they were required sidewalks and it was not waived. They're going to be required to construct them. Same thing once the business is built at the time before certificate of occupancy.
Somebody gonna pay for it, thank you.
Okay, not seeing any other council discussion. Does the developer, do we have any blue cards? Go ahead.
We have two speakers, and the first of which is David Abear.
Okay.
Yeah, this microphone's good. Okay, I had to write down what I'm going to say because I'm not too good of a public speaker and no experience. I'm David Abear. I'm the owner of both of these properties, and I'm here because I'm appealing the ruling of the Planning Commission not allowing me to plat my property unless I dedicate a 50-foot right-of-way to Lafayette Consolidated Government, as she said, from Hallmark Drive to Carver. And I'm against dedicating this strip of land because I have no intentions of developing my property. I'm only trying, the two lots are for my children. That's how this all started. I didn't know about any road or anything. I just simply wanted to give two lots to my children. That's all that's going to live out there, myself and my two kids. And I just really, my main thing, as far as the front lot goes, that's for sale. So I don't want to have to put the money into putting the sidewalk up, especially since there's none around. It's for sale right now. But it's the back lot, and you know, that's the whole deal. I really don't want a road going through my property. We're out there with the whole family. That whole 82-acre corner was for our family. My great-grandfather bought that land. We just don't, we're out there because we don't want a road going through it. You know, we don't want to live in a subdivision right next to places. And if they put a road right through there, it's just, you know, it's going to take away us living out there. So I'm mainly against, you know, I'm not happy with, you know, the planning commission ruling, but that's basically what I'm here for. I don't want a road going through my property. I'd prefer not to, you know? I mean, it's private. It's out there, and that's going to take away a lot of the privacy. So that's pretty much all I'm here for, because they pretty much, Councilman Terrio, and they pretty much said, you know, everything I could say, but that's mainly it. That's the bottom line. I'm trying to give some land to my kids, and I can't do it. And I can't really put it anywhere else because that's the high land. That's the high part of the land. So that's all. As far as the extension of the flagpoles, just like she said, I was trying to get that extended because I can't afford to put a road, or they were going to have to pay for it, something. You know, I'm trying to give those 2 lots to my children. That's basically it. That's all I can think of I have to say, and I appreciate y'all time. Still got some time left.
Thank you very much. Mr. Terrio?
Mr. Aber, now, you own this whole section, and a relative owns the one to the south, which, if you're looking at the map to the
Right,
left.
both pieces of property, it's all family owned.
Yes.
Everywhere's where they want to put the road through is family property that's been in our family for almost 100 years.
And they are not interested in the future, will not be
They're here to tell you
providing
that.
any road. And
They're-
also the property to the left, I know you and I both know who owns that piece.
Yes.
And there was indications that there is no way that they're going to allow any road to go through their property either.
On,
Right next to where the development is on the left side.
yeah, exactly.
So, which means that this is a request for a right-of-way that will not happen for decades upon decades.
I know on our side, none of the property owners are going to go for it, I can tell you that. So it's going to be a challenge, you know, I mean, we're not just going to give it up. We don't have any plans to just give it up.
Okay.
We want the privacy. We're building back there, and we're building away from roads, you know, so a road running right through it would kind of mess up our plans. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Aber, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you,
Appreciate it.
gentlemen and ladies.
That's all I have for now, Ms.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Terrio. Councilman Boudreaux?
Thank you. So, Mr. Aber, are you a developer, or that's just your property?
That's just
Okay.
my property I inherited.
All right. So this is how I see this. The 50-foot dedication, I can support you on that, based on what you're doing. But what I don't want to do is take the department that I partially represent as a council member and make it seem as though they're doing anything wrong. That just don't feel right. Because if this property was being purposed for something else, then the road may be a necessity. I think that's why we have this process in place, is that this ruling was made based on the rules that are in place. We all know we better have rules or we're going to be in trouble for sure. Now you come forth and say, look, I'm not going to develop no big old neighborhood. I'm not trying to bring 50, 60 homes back there. So I think you share that in a reasonable mind could say, okay, we know what you're doing, and if he deviates from that, then we could address that. But the process is designed the way it is, and for the purpose of building the family, building away from roads, fine. The unfortunate thing is that some people with this same layout might want to do something differently where a road would be necessary, okay? On the flagpole issue, I'm willing to support where the new standard is going. Beyond the 450, that additional feet, I would say get ready to make accommodations for that. Because, right, you know, when the fire department and the ambulance services are saying these things, I think we need to be very prudent in our discussions and decisions. So I could support the flagpoles that's going to be recommended up to the new standard the department is going to bring forward. But there's going to be some access that I hope that you all could take responsibility for, and that's going to allow us to remain consistent. Because I promise you, if you go 490 and the recommendation is 450, you see the new standard has been set. So that's what I'm going to be willing to support. And the sidewalks, we have learned here, our Public Works Department is amazing, that to build the sidewalks now before construction wouldn't be very wise, because when construction starts, it's going to break them up anyway when somebody comes to develop. But sidewalks, I could tell you, are important after development takes place because people want them in that area for safety purposes. So whatever, if the department is saying that they will be done, we're just not going to put that on you now for this purpose, we're okay. So at the end of the day, I think this process works out really good. I think Mr. Castillo going to have some type of recommendation. But what I don't want is to, and Mr. Terrio said he wasn't throwing the department under the bus, but for those people listening, those people who don't do this every day, I don't want them to feel that the department, because we have some challenges for developers here that I would hope that we could work through. But when it's something that's protecting communities when development is taking place, we need to acknowledge that. So I see something easily, again, I think the flagpole up to the new standard, I think the dedication based on what you're doing, and the sidewalks based on what the future calls for, I think we're going to be okay. And the process would have worked, everybody would have done their job, and we're going to be okay. Okay? I just wanted to share that with you. That's all I have for now, unless something else changes later.
Thank you, Councilman Boudreaux. Councilman Bellard.
Sarah, I have a quick question. If we would grant them the waivers, including the dedication and the flagpole rule, if they would go to develop it, would this come all open again?
So let's
Meaning,
say,
what is our protection? Let's just say I wanted to grant them all three.
so let's say if they come back and they want to subdivide any one of those lots, we have another bite at the apple. Now, that being said, if they come in and they try to subdivide this, well, that's not exactly in the direct alignment. So traffic would then have to weigh their options. You know, do we want to try to get it here, or do we want to try to wait until these two lots would come in? So, I mean, and again, look, we all know that a straight shot of a roadway is a recipe for speeding. So traffic may say, you know what, we do need to kind of curve this here and bend it here. So we don't have that just straight roadway. So, I mean, in reality, if they subdivide any three of those lots, we could have another bite at the apple.
It's still going to come back through the
Yes,
process?
sir.
Okay. Thank you. That's the question I had. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Councilman Bellard. Councilman Liz.
Sarah, I have a question for you. Don't go too far. Regarding sidewalks specifically, I agree with where we're going with the first two. My concern is sidewalks, is that if we waive the sidewalks at this point, that doesn't mean we're waiving them indefinitely for whoever buys, correct?
Yes, if you waive that condition completely, then we do not get another bite at the apple on that.
Okay.
If you modify the condition to tie it to the certificate of occupancy, then whenever a building is constructed on that lot, they would be required at that point in time to construct those sidewalks.
Okay, and that is on the table right now, correct?
Correct,
All right,
correct.
just wanted to make sure that, I'm fine with the way that reads, so just want to make sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Liz. Councilman Castillo.
But don't forget to turn it off when I'm done. Okay, y'all are all talking around the points I want to make, which is, I want to definitely protect his property, his family's property. And on the same hand, I want to make sure government is doing what the department would like to do to protect everybody else. So there's some things, there's three things I'd like to try. I guess maybe I should move to grant the appeal now, then and make the amendments to the appeal like I want, and then maybe the second speaker can speak again, and the first speaker wants to come back, and if anybody has questions, we can discuss it. I think is that okay to do that?
I'm good with that.
Okay, I move that we grant the appeal.
We got
I
a
need a
motion
second.
for a grant?
Need a second. I'm gonna amend it. I'm gonna amend something.
We will approve the appeal based on what you're saying.
Yeah, but
Without an amendment.
I'll move to grant the appeal, then I'm gonna amend what I'm moving on. I talked to legal about this. I'm not pulling this out of my pocket. Okay, I discussed this with legal. This is, okay?
I think the idea was he was just putting it on the floor for discussion purposes, and then after discussion, he's going to offer the amendment.
Then I can make my amendments to it. So that's how we normally do it. We put it on, we discuss it, and then we do our thing. Yeah, I move to grant the appeal this time. I need a second.
Got a motion by Councilman Castillo, second by Councilman Boudreaux.
Okay.
To grant the appeal under certain conditions. He's about to speak.
And this is from legal now. You know, I'm not a lawyer, but I understand what he's saying, and I agree with it. First of all, I want to move to modify the relief requested. That'd be an amendment, correct?
Yes,
And I need a second.
yes.
You can't second from the
State
chief.
the-
I should
state
state
the
it first, then get a
modifying
second.
relief,
Okay.
and then see if you get a second.
You can tell I didn't go to law school. Okay. On number 14, the flagpole issue, I want to waive that completely. Take it out. Okay? I've seen this in my district a few times, and it until we come out with a decent length of flagpoling, you know, I want to waive this. I understand the safety aspect. I was in that business, so I understand that. But 200 feet isn't quite deep enough, so I want to waive that completely. That's one. I want to modify number 15, which is the 50-foot public street right-of-way, which is required to be dedicated. This is how I want it to read. I want it to read, a note be placed on the plat, just a note. They're not giving anything up. There's a reason for it. If tracks 2-B2-A, comma, 2-B2B, comma, or 2-B2C are further subdivided, a north and south public street will be required. And the reason I want to put that in there is just a note. It doesn't take anybody's property, not giving anything up. They use it as long as another 100 years if he wants it. If at any time they come out, they subdivide this tract again, then it becomes not just family property, then it starts to become a subdivision. And at that point, I've got 65 gravel roads in my district that follow this. And I get calls every day to overlay them. So I'm trying to protect the residents who would buy in the future, which I'm sure he'll never sell it, or his family's gonna keep it forever. And there's no obligation to give it to the government. He keeps it, it's his. It's just a note on the plat that if it's ever subdivided again to more than two lots or 3 lots that's up there now. And my last one is to modify what he requested, the sidewalks on Vero, to make it at issuance of certificate of occupancy of the business. Okay, I'm asking for a second on that, and we got some discussion.
Got a second by Councilman Liz. And now we will go to discussion in regards to that. Councilman Bellard.
Yes, I'd like to call Mr. David Hebert back up. I have a question for him.
Go ahead.
And I guess it's just point blank, with what Mr. Castile did, are you in any way okay with that, or?
Well, so they're going to waive the 50-foot right-of-way as long as I leave it just as it is.
That's
Is that
correct.
what I'm
On
understanding?
the plat as is, yes, sir.
That's exactly what I planned forever.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Mr. Castillo, your mic's hot, go ahead.
No, wait,
Just as long as it's noted on the plat, that track, not this down here, but the track up here that you're subdividing now with the 2 poles.
right. It's going
Whenever
to,
you come back, or in 100 years, somebody comes back, and they want to re-subdivide that and make more than those lots right here, then it becomes a residential subdivision. And at that time, a street would be required.
I'll be dead and gone, that'll be somebody else's
See,
problem.
but see,
I guess what I'm
You know-
getting at, he hit on all, I want you to understand, he hit on all three of the tracks.
correct.
Right, correct,
And I guess I'm just trying to,
yeah.
if
I
you're,
don't plan on changing it, just like it is. If it gets changed, it's gonna be after I'm gone. That'll be somebody else's problem.
that's why,
I don't plan on changing it.
thank you, that's all I have for you.
Our kids are
Thank you.
young, you know, they're kids by the time they're grown, and they're gonna inherit all of this property. So if there's gonna be any dividing going on, I'm not gonna be around.
Okay, that's exactly what I needed to know. Thank you, sir.
Might want to let them know.
Yeah,
No, because
will. One
somebody
of
else
them's
is going to
here.
be sitting up here, somebody's going to be catching it. All right. Next speaker, Mr. Boudreaux.
Sarah,
Yes, sir.
so the only issue now on the amendment that's on the floor for me is the flagpole.
Yes, sir.
Has the commission, has the department addressed this issue with any developers that did not appeal it and had to adhere to the 200 feet in anything within the last few years? Or
No, I mean, we waived them. I mean, every pole that exceeded the 200 feet, we have waived them.
okay, so what stopped you all from waiving this one?
I think that, I really don't know what stopped them from waiving it, to be completely honest with you. I think that, you know, they felt because they didn't waive, I think the reason why they didn't waive it is because they did not waive the 50-foot right-of-way. And so if he was required to do the 50-foot right-of-way as requested, the flagpole issue would have been null and void because he'd had to redesign those two lots. So those lots would have had access off of the private street.
Right.
So because the 50-foot right-of-way requirement wasn't waived, they just felt, well, they'll have to figure something out. They'll have to redesign their site.
Got you.
So if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes plenty of sense. I just like to be consistent, because that's where you get challenged.
What I will,
And
what
you
I
know,
will tell you, by them not waiving it was the anomaly.
Right, it's inconsistent.
It's not the norm. We normally do, and they have in the past waived them. Like I said, I just think it was because they didn't waive the 50-foot right-of-way that they figured he'd have to redesign it anyway. So that condition would have been null and void.
Okay. So based on that, the amendments that Mr. Castillo has offered seems to be in line with what we would be doing historically anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be honest with you, we've waived polls longer than that. The reason why we're revisiting this is because they're getting a little out of hand with their poll lists for the flag lots. I mean, I had one approach us at like 900 feet, and at that point, 911 had to step in and say, absolutely not, this needs to be a private street. You're way too far off of the main highway, right? So this is just, we know 200 is too short, but we don't want that 900-foot situation. So we figured 450 feet is a good compromise, you know. So after that, when you get to 450, if you're longer than that, there will be no more waivers, essentially.
And Mr. Castillo, your waiver is up until such time that a new standard is set.
I want to waive this one completely.
Right.
Now, when the new standard is set, then at that point in time, then we can start setting precedents and start going with the new length.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Lewis.
Okay, Sarah or Mike, I don't know who needs to answer this question for me. But Mr. Castillo talked about putting a note. Is that something that we can put a note, say 20 years from now, it will be still binding?
Yes, sir, we've
Yes,
done
sir.
that before.
Put a note and be binding, huh? Okay, that answers my question.
Okay. All right. Not seeing any more council discussion, so this time, let's call.
I think we have another speaker.
Huh?
We have another
Oh,
speaker.
we have another speaker. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, we do have another speaker, and when I refresh the electronic, we do have Andre Montané as well. But the second speaker is Darrell Hebert. Darrell Hebert first, and then Andre Montané.
My name is Darrell Abear. I own the property in the back on the right of Wolf Creek. And if y'all gonna do the same thing to David, tried to make me put a road and all that, y'all cutting my property in half. I've been on that property for 40 years. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that property. So there's no way the road's going through. I mean, y'all can go ahead and vote the way y'all want, but it's not going through my property. My sister, Cheryl Abear, owns a part on the other side of Wolf Creek. No road going through there either. So, I mean, it's just the way it is. Been there too long,
Gotcha.
and I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Just to clarify, this discussion tonight only pertains to the one in the blue box?
Right.
Not to yours?
Right.
So in the future, if they were to come to you and request the same guidelines, hopefully this council would be able to see what was done to the property to the north of you and would apply the same characteristics.
Right, but later on, when he's gone, and one of his son-in-law's kids want to put a house on his property, they're gonna make him put a road. Right?
No, not that I'm aware of, no. Only if you replat the property and you start putting like a subdivision or something
Oh,
like that.
no, that's never gonna happen.
That's
No,
not gonna happen.
no,
You guys
no.
have been there for the longest time, will continue to be there, I'm sure, for another 2 or 3 decades.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry? Yes.
And actually, I can remember when Verrod School Road was a one-lane gravel road. That's how long we've been there.
But anyway, just to let you know, this only applies to here. In the event anything happens to the future, you know, I just don't see it at this point.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right,
Thank you, Mayor.
Final speaker, Andre Montané.
Thank you for your time. I just wanted to add a little bit of history on this. You know, the property was acquired by these people's grandfather. The grandfather donated property for the right-of-way of Barrow School Road. They donated the right-of-way for Mill Creek. And so they've been good, I'd say, citizen as far as donating right-of-way before, you know. The other issue is the property they have 8.5 acres, but there's a gas pipeline that goes diagonally across the property, and they have an electric line that runs through the middle of the property. So they do have issues with, you know, pipelines and electric lines running through the property. So it's very limited on how much they can use and what they can do with it. So
Okay.
just to let you know.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, any other speakers? All right, go ahead and call the vote. Yes vote will grant the appeal under the conditions that were made. A no vote will deny. I got it, he's good. That was right,
Do you
Mike.
need a restatement of what the conditions are? Just wanted to. New conditions.
I mean, if we
I'm
need,
still hot. You want me to read that again?
I know it was like 2B, 3B, and it was so many
Okay,
Bs, it
there
was
we go.
like,
But
we're
let
doing
me-
alphabets or
let me
something.
let me take a stab at restating slightly. Grant the requested waiver of condition 14, which would thereby waive the requirement that the pole portion of the lot not exceed 200 feet. Modify condition number 15 to provide that a note is to be provided on the plat stating that whenever any of the lots 2B2A, 2B2B, or 2B2C are further subdivided, that a north-south street will be required. And grant the requested modification of condition number 17 such that sidewalks will still be required, but only prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy.
First time? I didn't say that the first time? No?
Sure you did.
I was close.
Sure you
I was
did.
close. Okay, yeah, that's my exact words.
Yeah, it was a little bit more clear and more, so,
Thank you.
you did a great job, that's all.
Thank you,
good.
Mike.
So we have the clarification, we have what I said earlier, a yes vote grants the appeal under the amendment or the conditions that we just talked about. No vote would be to deny the appeal. Are we voting, I thought we, we need to vote on the amendment as amended, or, no, we did that already, right?
No, we haven't taken any vote yet.
Okay, so let's take the vote on granting the appeal, as it is with the new conditions, right?
You could do it one of two ways. You could vote on amending the relief and then vote overall, or you could just simply vote right now on granting the relief as modified.
We're
which
gonna
would be the
vote on
simpler
the
approach
modification right now,
by itself.
by
And then-
itself,
And then
and
have a
then come
second
back
vote.
and do,
That's permissible.
okay. So, call the roll on the modification.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, now we will call the vote on the appeal as amended.
District 2? District 3? District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
Motion is approved as amended.
Okay. There you go. Now we're going to move along to announcements of the vacancies on boards and commission. Liz, can you please read?
Due to expiration, a vacancy will exist on the Board of Zoning Adjustment for a 5-year term effective July 1st, 2018. Applicants must reside within the city of Lafayette and own property within the parish of Lafayette. Individuals wishing to submit a resume for the above volunteer vacancy must be a registered voter and a resident of Lafayette Parish. Yearly ethics training for all appointees is required, as is financial disclosure under certain circumstances. Resumes are to be forwarded to Veronica L. Williams, Clerk of the Council, P.O. Box 4017-C, Lafayette, Louisiana, 70502, or emailed to bclafayette@lafayettela.gov no later than noon, Tuesday, April 17th, with appointments to be made on May 1st, 2018.
All right, now we're going to move to consider appointments by the council as a whole to boards and commissions. Please read, Liz.
Appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 5-year term effective June 1st, 2018. Applicants must reside within the unincorporated area of the parish of Lafayette.
Okay, we have 3 resumes in for consideration, and Michael Brown is the incumbent, and we will take nominations at this time. Councilman Castillo.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to nominate Michael Brown.
Okay, Michael Brown has been nominated. Mr. Terrio?
I'd like to nominate Bob Bixman.
Okay, Mr. Terrio has nominated Mr. Bob Bixman, or Robert Bixman, sorry about that. All right, not seeing any other nominations, please call the vote on Michael Brown or Mr. Robert Bixman.
District 3? District 4? District 5? District 6? District 7? District 8? District 9? District 1?
Brown.
District 2? Michael W. Brown has been appointed.
Okay,
Appointment to the Lafayette Parish Library Board of Control for a 5-year term effective June 1st, 2018.
all right. Ms. Joan Wingate is the incumbent, and there's no other resumes received for consideration. At this time, a yes vote will suffice.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6? District 7? District 8? District 9? District 1?
Yes.
District 2? District 3? Joan Wingate has been appointed.
All right, moving along to appointments by council members, mayor, president, and or any other direct appointing authority. Liz?
District 4, Kenneth Boudreau appoints Dr. Jennifer Jackson to the Recreation Advisory Commission for a 4-year term effective November 1st, 2017.
Okay, this time I'll turn the mic over to Mr. Boudreau for comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to put in a request to legal and to the clerk to prepare a resolution for next meeting directing the administration and the Parks and Recreation Department to discontinue the practice of Gulf privileges for commission members. We recently did some rate adjustments that came with some opposition, and in consideration of that and some other findings through AG opinions and ethics, I think it's time that we rectify this situation that was put into effect under 3 or 4 administrations ago. So please prepare a resolution, which I hope the administration would take as an indication of the desire of this body to discontinue that practice, please. And I wanted that to start with this new appointment. My previous appointment had been someone who was in place prior to me coming here. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move right along to introductory ordinances. Remind the council members that items 24 and 26 are being pulled from the in globo to discuss and vote on separately, and item 28 has been deferred until April 17th meeting. So as I ask for a motion and second from the council to introduce the ordinance, it'll be on items 22, 23, 25, 27, 29, and 30 only in globo, and then we'll come back for the separate discussion and vote on items 24 and 26. Can I get a motion and a second? Motion by Councilman Bellard, second by Councilman Liz. Liz, can you please read the following introductory ordinances?
Ordinance 44, 2018. An ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council approving a conditional use permit to allow a restaurant in an MN-1 mixed-use neighborhood zoning district, case number ZON 2018-4, 1000 West Simcoe Street conditional use permit located generally north of West Simcoe Street, west of Delord Street, and south of West Inn Avenue. Ordinance 45, 2018. An ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council amending the Unified Development Code so as to reclassify the property as Zydeco CHDO, case number ZON 2018-6, 2600 block of Louisiana Avenue rezoning located generally east of Louisiana Avenue, west of Saturn Drive, and north of Polaris Drive. The particular parcels being rezoned from MN-1 mixed-use neighborhood to PI public institutional. Ordinance 47, 2018. An ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council authorizing and approving an administrative reorganization, reassigning responsibilities of the Court Service Program section to City Court, amending the fiscal year 17-18 operating budget, and manning tables of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government. Ordinance 49, 2018. An ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with St. Ledger Parish Government providing for certain contractual reimbursements relative to work performed pursuant to grant agreements under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and the disposition of certain equipment purchased with grant funds awarded under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Ordinance 51, 2018. An ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council amending the fiscal year 17-18 operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by increasing revenues in the amount of $100,000 received from Bloomberg Philanthropies, appropriating within the Development and Planning Department, and authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to execute any documents with Bloomberg Philanthropies necessary for project completion. Ordinance 52, 2018. An ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council declaring the building and structure located at 925 East Simcoe Street, Lafayette, Louisiana, owned by Donald R. Bro, care of Gerald J. Block, attorney appointed, to be dilapidated and dangerous to the public welfare, and ordering the condemnation of same.
Oops, excuse me. All right, that's been completed, so I need any public comment?
No, sir.
No? Okay. So let's go ahead and call the roll on the in globo.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 2? District 3? District 4? Yes. Motion is approved for in globo.
Okay. Now at this time, we'd like to read out item 24 and 26 and have a separate discussion, separate, and a vote. So can you please read item 24?
Ordinance 46, 2018. An ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council authorizing and directing the Lafayette Mayor President to execute an intergovernmental agreement with South Louisiana Community College for the establishment of an electric lineman training course.
Okay. Got a motion by Councilman Boudreaux? Got a second by Councilman Bellard. Council discussion? Mr. Boudreaux.
Thank you. Steve, Mr. Robideau, I pulled this item to try to make sure that any corrections that I may see can be considered before final adoption. So I had a couple of questions. The $100,000 commitment to establish this program, kind of that number, what is that going to do for us here at LCG? And if I'm correct, that $100,000 that's a definite, then there's an additional $50,000 that's up for consideration. But I'm talking about the $100,000 first. What are those dollars going to do as it relates to the establishment of this program?
I'll defer to Terry if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Good evening. Terry Huval, Director of Utilities. So I'm kind of take a step back, and I'm not going to try and make this too long, but a step back to what's happening here. All the utility companies in this area are having the same problems we are in attracting people who are interested in becoming linemen. And for the most part, we've been kind of poaching on each other through the years of taking each other's linemen in so many cases, depending on who's paying the most at the time. And you've heard these discussions I've had with y'all in the past. So the concept came up about, well, maybe we should try to set up a lineman training school so we can prepare people who are interested in that and give them an education, get them through that. So we contacted SLCC and the other local utility companies in this area, Clico, Slimco, and Entergy. We're all participating in this effort. And but it's going to take some work to be able to set it all up. The school is going to we're going to help the school find an instructor, and they're going to pay for it. But as far as the poles, the wires, the transformers, the kind of things that these people who are learning this trade are going to need to work on, that we would all collectively participate in providing that apparatus for them. So that all of that is available to, it's kind of like our investment to be able to help help support getting this program in place. We don't have any other costs involved except to support that apparatus that's necessary to be able to prepare people to become linemen.
So just to be clear, because I read it differently, the $100,000 is to cover the build out of the training facility, be it the poles, transform, because I saw that separate. I thought it was a $100,000 investment. Then later the language speaks to Lafayette Consolidated Government will assist with the building of the training area, the pole climbing, the underground installations, things like that. But what we're saying here today is that $100,000 is going to actually cover that.
That's how I understand it to be. And I don't have my person with me who's really involved in it, but I know, Mike, you were involved in discussing this. If there's anything
and
that...
we don't have to have all the answers tonight, but for final, this is a concern.
I could answer some now if you like. The agreement provides that the $100,000 is for the build-out, and it says that beyond the build-out, LCG is not obligated to do anything further to fund expenses of, or
Operation.
contribute to further operation and maintenance of the course, but might elect to, but only up to a cap of $50,000 per year.
Okay. Well, let's go there since we went there. The $50,000 cap per year. If there's an election to do so, is that already authorized, or must that be brought back before this council?
There would be a budgetary concern about that. I mean, there'd have to be some place in the budget where that was already authorized. Otherwise, no, this would be the only authorization that would be necessary, provided that it was in the budget somewhere.
So what I'm going to ask for, in that area of elect to participate, so let's say something happens and there's some additional cost that is required, and all of these entities say we're going to give that more, we're going to elect to give more, I would like the wording to reflect that whoever makes that decision brings it back to the council and say we're about to spend this much more. to facilitate this programming process. If you could have prepared that going toward final adoption. Terry, are the other agencies participating at the same dollar level?
Yes, sir, we're supposed to all split it equally amongst us.
Wow. So SLCC is going to get somewhere around $300,000-$400,000 to create this program.
Well,
to
they're not getting
train
any
workers.
money, they're just getting the equipment to do this. The equipment, like I said, the apparatus that we need. And it's still our assets. I mean, if we wanted to pull those away, we could. You know, it's just that it's just part of our contribution amongst the others to
So,
support the
and that's
program.
some information that wasn't in there. I'm going to look at that a little bit closer. But the other question that I had, which it kind of is now answered, is that who does these trained people go to work for? Because I wasn't aware that other agencies were participating, CLECO, SLIMCO, but now that they are, that means everyone who graduates from that doesn't guarantee that they come into work for LUS. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to correct our lineman problem.
That is correct.
Those other agencies are paying more to their linemen. We're probably going to have the same circumstances. They're going to keep going there. And then if we want them, we're going to have to pay better rates.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So, see,
I mean, it's only, if we don't do this, we're just going to continue having the same problems we've always had, and maybe that's an acceptable solution.
It's not acceptable, but even if we do it, there's no guarantee we correct the
No
problem.
guarantee, that's correct.
So
It just-
let's say it all, right. So there's no guarantee that it corrects it. If we don't do it, we're not trying. I'm willing to try, but I sure hope we get something back.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, because this ain't, but now that we know everybody's paying to play, we'll see what the results are from there. It mentions a truck, and that's why, Mike, I'm gonna ask you specifically, not tonight, send me some clarity on that 100,000, because in the lane, it mentions a pole truck, which I would have to assume is $50,000. I mean, we spend 40 on regular trucks in our departments. If you're gonna put a bucket on it and some lift equipment, I don't know what that costs, but I don't know that 100,000 in build out is one and the same. I think 100,000 is cash, and participation to build out a course is greater than. If it is, I want to be clear on that. So if you could just look at that for me closer, and before adoption, just send me something.
Okay.
And then we'll know it, then we'll be clear on that. But it talks about a truck among many, many other things that seem to exceed 100,000 already. Okay, and just for, the reason I'm doing this is because I know we did the nursing program before, which I heard a rumor that I don't even know if that nursing program is still actually at the level that it was at. But we participated with SLCC, which I think is a great partner. But I just want to make sure we're getting our investment back. And it's kind of like, I don't want to be like the police department, that we training people to go work somewhere else, that we participate. So that's all I have on this particular matter. Thank you all very much.
Okay. Mr. Pat Lewis?
Terry, I have a quick question. You can stay right there. Like what Mr. Boudreaux was talking about, that we'll spend this money and it's not guaranteed that they'll work for LUS, but it's still not guaranteed that they'll work for any company here. They can move out of town as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Not seeing any other discussion. Any comments from the public?
No, sir.
All right. Please call the vote.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes?
Yes.
District 3? District 4? District 5? Motion to introduce has been approved.
All right. We now need to read item 26. Liz?
Ordinance 48, 2018, an ordinance of the Lafayette City Parish Council amending the fiscal year 17-18 capital budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by transferring $1,472,479.62 from various projects to the Parish Bridge Improvements Project within the Public Works Department for additional funding needed on projects ready to bid.
Okay. Need a motion and a second. So moved by Councilman Boudreaux. Second by Councilman Cook. Any council discussion? Mr. Boudreaux.
Thank you, sir. I pulled this one also. What I would like to see on this one, we moving money. Normally that comes sometimes at some concerns and discuss. We see where it's moving from, we see what it's going to, or the status of the projects where the money is being moved from. Are these completed projects? I know one project was being zeroed out, everything else, money was being left behind. So the status of the projects, if that could be provided for final, of where the money is coming from in the event that they haven't started yet, or they're at a certain point. And number two, and this is more so for admin, because I said that I would be willing to have projects in my district that is not ready to go be used to do things that are ready to go to address other issues when there's a commitment in place that those monies will be returned, and that's where most of the concern comes in at. So if these projects are not completed projects, I think the language should be in the ordinance rather than somebody having to ask for it, to say how this money is going to be replenished to finish the project or to do the project that was already on the books. So what I'm asking for is a status of these projects where the money is leaving. Like if they're complete, we know what that's already been done. If they've been designed but no construction for, we could get those. But lastly, how the money will be replenished, if it even needs to be. If it don't need to be, say, no need, over budget or something like that. But it's clear, so when constituents call council members, they could specifically say, this is why I supported it, because we got things we need to do, and we're done here, or we coming back for this. The money will be back in the 2018-2019 budget, however that works out. That's my request for this particular item here. That's it.
Still didn't say anything all night. He was.
Tell Kevin happy
Well,
birthday.
Councilman Boudreaux, your comment is well taken, and kind of our conversation about some of these things and providing that additional information, it kind of came after this one, and this one was sort of the impetus to make that commitment to you. And I really didn't realize that we had not furnished that for this one. But we'll certainly have it.
Perfect.
And I'll have it for you in a day or so.
Yeah, for everybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course.
actually,
No,
yeah.
that goes without saying.
Not just Mr. Boudreaux, we need everybody.
No, that goes without saying.
Yeah, but it's for everybody.
I only have Veronica's email anyway.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
You good? Okay. All right, please call, any comments from the public on this item?
Yes, sir.
All right, please call the roll.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
Motion to introduce has been approved.
All right. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you next time.